Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A quick reminder of our top stories now. Residents of Sabon Tasha and Juji communities in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State protest the abduction of the wife and 2 children of a medical doctor from his residence. Properties estimated at millions of naira destroyed as fire raises Amu timber market in the Mushin area of the state. Shop owners and emergency workers disagree on this response time. Lassa fever makes its way to Rivers and Kaduna states as Borno and Lagos states step up efforts to avert the spread of the disease. And China's President Xi Jinping raises alarm over the spread of the deadly coronavirus, says that his country faces grave situations. Plus, business and sports. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories than others. Do subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple, Android, Fire and Roku TV. To further examine the Lassa fever development story, we have a public health physician, Dr. Oladipo Giambi, who has joined us on the news tonight. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming. Let's just try to simplify as much as we can the issues that we're faced with. Lassa fever has become a yearly experience. What is the reason for this year's own?
The same thing for last year's own, the same thing for 2 years ago's own. During the dry season, the population of the rats don't increase, but there is less food in the forest. And so there is more harvest in the homes. And so they seek food. And when they seek food in an environment where the sanitation is poor, then there's now a reason for contact between the rats carrying the virus and human food or human contact. And therefore, you now have a spike of the cases.
For this Lassa fever, it becomes increasingly difficult because you have a gestation period before the symptoms begin to show.
Yes.
Which is almost similar like malaria is. Is there any difference? How can we differentiate which one is Lassa fever with regards to the symptoms and which one is malaria, just so that people are able to know that I'm not actually dealing with malaria, but instead Lassa fever?
Actually, we cannot, because the symptoms are similar. So there's pain, body aches, fever. So that's why at the end of every one is a fever. Malaria fever, Lassa fever. So what we take most people to the hospital is the fever. So for this period, because we know we have it usually during the dry seasons, so any fever could be Lassa. So the health workers' work is to now differentiate which is which. So they shouldn't take any chances with handling any patient with fever, use their protective devices, and then remember that we're in the season where Lassa comes up. So quickly, if you do a test for malaria and it is negative, please put Lassa on the next row of suspect and then find out more what the patient has done, where he has gone, what kind of job does he do, the kind of environment he lives in. If he lives in a very dirty environment, then you know there is a high risk of him having come in contact with either the urine or the feces or the aerosol from the rat droppings. Or find out, has he been in contact with somebody who has been admitted for Lassa. So with all that, then you know, wow, this is not likely going to be malaria, because that's the first thing that will come to your mind. But health workers should know this, that every malaria symptom should be investigated with a lab test. Do not treat it with just clinical symptoms. Don't just say the person has fever, joint pain, and start the drug. Please do a test. If you do a test, the test will tell you if it is malaria positive or no, or negative. The moment it is negative, please bring up the Lassa issue and quickly find out more about the patient, and the moment you see that the patient could be a suspect based on this history that I've talked about, contact, travel, and all that, then alert the closest public health authorities in the local government close to you or the state ministry of health.
So in terms of prevention,
Yes.
what can you tell us? What new innovations are there?
The newest innovations are the oldest innovations. Hygiene, hand wash, sanitation. If we're able to deal with those three as a primary level of prevention, hand wash so that if you come in contact with the droppings, you would have washed it off. Just regular hand wash. Hygiene, keep your food covered and your dustbin covered so that rats do not see where to get food in it and therefore be able to drop in your home. And finally, sanitation, general hygiene of the environment. So if there is no leftover food and the dustbins are taken away as frequently as they ought to, if the rats come to the home, there's no food, they go back into the forest, and then we are done. That's the primary prevention. Secondary prevention comes with, if you think somebody has the fever or has come in contact with someone who has that fever, then suspect Lassa, and then let it be managed accordingly by the health worker. So for every ailment, please, this is not the time to stay at home and wait for a blessing or a spiritual cure. Please go to the health facility, get investigated, and get treated accordingly.
Now, the NCDC,
Yes.
who pioneers cases of viral infection, the expectation from them is just so high. And a lot of people are expectant that there should be a vaccine of sorts that can tackle this. Are they wrong to think in that direction?
Everybody wants a quick fix. So nobody, even the health authorities and the public health, would rather want a vaccine. However, these are things that has to do with research and development, and it takes a long time. Now, virus are even more challenging to deal with because it's similar to every other hemorrhagic fever like Ebola, right? So they mutate very fast. So as you are trying to get, you think this vaccine might work. By the time you mutate, it doesn't work again. So you just keep on keeping at it until you hit the nail on the head. So the people are not wrong. Neither are the public health authorities wrong. However, expectations are different. The public health authorities understand that it takes time and resources. But the people cannot be patient because people die every year. However, Nigeria has done really well this year because the case fatality rate has dropped to less than 20%. Usually,
20%.
Yes, usually it's more than 25%.
Okay, so that's a good place
That's a very good place to drop it
let
and know that
rest.
things are working.
Many thanks indeed. I most sincerely thank you, public health physician, Dr. Oladipo Giambi. Thank you for talking
My pleasure
to us
to be here
on the News at 10.
Thank you.
To electoral matters now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has been conducting rerun elections in 28 constituencies and a senatorial district. All elections were held in 11 states across the country. The states affected are Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bauchi, Benue, Cross River, Imo, Kaduna, Kano, Niger, Ogun, and Sokoto states. This next report captures how the polls were conducted in some of the states.
Finally, the Independent National Electoral Commission conducts rerun elections in 28 constituencies across 11 states in the country after the 2019 general elections. Okigwe North Federal Constituency in Imo State, southeast Nigeria, is the first port of call, as indigents turned out early at their different polling centers to exercise their civic responsibility. While some areas experienced low turnout of voters, some other places had a large turnout.
A lot of people came out to vote.
Now to the south-south region in Akwa Ibom State, where the rerun elections is holding in Esienudem local government, and it's generally marked by a low turnout across the voting units in the area. Some of the voters expressed satisfaction with the process.
We thank God, so far so good. It has been very successful.
And in the Gamawa and Zaki Federal Constituency of Bauchi State in northeast Nigeria, vote buying has been reported across some polling units in Gamawa town. One of the voters, Nasiru Gamawa, says he reported the incident to the police when he noticed activities of some agents.
The rate of the voter buying was then is just 200, 500 rates.
Ogun State in southwest Nigeria also had rerun elections in 13 polling units across 3 local government areas of Ijebu-Ode, Odogbolu and Ijebu Northeast local government areas of the state. Voters in Ijebu-Ode and Ilese areas of the state turned out in large numbers, with security agents providing security. The state resident electoral commissioner, Professor Abdul Ganiu Raji, commends the peaceful conduct of the exercise.
From our assessment this morning, all our polling units were ready by 7 a.m.
Meanwhile, voters for the House of Representatives and State House of Assembly rerun and supplementary elections in the Sokoto North as well as Sokoto South federal constituencies also came out to exercise their civic rights. The successful conduct of these rerun elections may now bring a close to the disputes arising from the 2019 general elections in these respective constituencies and districts.
It may be the dry season in Nigeria at the moment, but concerns over flooding and its attendant disastrous consequences are prompting early warnings from relevant authorities. Annual rainfall for the year 2020 has been put at 400 millimeters in the north and 3,000 in the south. According to the latest reports by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, Sokoto, Katsina, Yobe and Borno states are expected to have the least rainfall within the range of 400 to 800 millimeters.
The seasonal rainfall prediction.
Seasonal rainfall prediction, according to experts, is crucial for strategic planning and for climate-smart decisions and practices, which could bring about reduction of losses from adverse weather, minimize disasters, and maximize output. Last year, heavy rainfall recorded in some parts of the country led to flooding in over 20 states, resulting in the loss of lives and property.
Weather and climate.
Little wonder this crowd of people, including government officials, gather in this hall as the Nigerian Meteorological Agency gives rainfall prediction for the year 2020.
Climate management.
Amount of rainfall for the year is expected to rise between 400 millimeters in the north and 3,000 millimeters in the south, while onset of rainfall is expected by February 24th and June 22nd in the southern and northern parts of the country, respectively.
NIMET predicts and publishes the expected annual rainfall pattern over the entire country in pursuance of its mandate of advising government and the general public on all aspects of weather and climate-related matters. The rainfall prediction highlights vital weather and climate information that may affect socio-economic activities in the air, land, and water transportation.
In producing the SRP,
The Director General of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency shares a month-by-month brief on how the rainfall prediction will turn out. He also cautions about the health implications of these predictions.
we have expected that this year will be largely Enso neutral year. Near normal to above normal rainfall of varying magnitude is, however, expected for most part of the country. This is expected to have an impact on the timing, particularly of the onset and cessation of the growing period.
Hopefully, these predictions will help farmers and other Nigerians whose businesses depend on weather conditions to plan for the year 2020.
When the News at 10 returns, we have a climatologist, Professor Emmanuel Oladipo, to give an insight into the NIMET rainfall predictions. Plus, crude oil market posts biggest decline in 7 months this week as coronavirus outbreak and demand implications puts pressure on the prices. That's some business news. Stay with us.